Hello, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. A little bit of a change tonight. We are going to be taking your calls, but I've got Ross with me for the first 5 minutes. Lots to talk about. I will set the show on a Sunday night, so it's not just call in and talk about what you want to talk about. I want to talk about a few things. Is Paul Pogba becoming a bit of a dilemma for Jose Mourinho? Looking around on social media today, a lot of people getting on his back saying it's not enough from a £90 million player, and he never gets dropped, he never gets subbed. It's hypocrisy from Mourinho. Some people saying leave him alone, he's going to be one of the best midfielders in the world. Also, heard a lot of this today. Would we be better off with Harry Kane instead of Zlatan? Is Kane more clinical than Zlatan, despite Zlatan winning us trophies, as he has this year? Also, again, Europa League or the league. Is it at that point yet? Which way? Can we still do both? Should we be focusing on one or the other? Maybe the Europa League at the moment. And finally, another thing I want to talk about, Jose Mourinho. Does he get away scot-free? Some people absolutely appalled by his substitutions yesterday. Not for the first time has he made substitutions that potentially have cost us a win. Arsenal back in November playing Rashford at left back. Everton away, Fellaini. Yesterday, Fellaini for Carrick. Bit of question marks about Mourinho. He's been fantastic for United, but does he leave himself suspect with some substitutions? I'm joined by Ross. I'm going to get the live comments up. Ross, you were at the game yesterday, but on that first point, Paul Pogba, where do you stand on Paul Pogba at the moment?
Do you know what? A lot's been said about him yesterday, and he was, for most of the second half, quite poor, to be honest. He had a bit of a poor game. It's not the first time he's had that at Manchester United. The thing that gets me about Pogba is the fact that he makes forward passes, and I love that about the guy, because he's the only one that really wants to do it, that really wants to create a chance, to open up a defence. But the problem we have with him at the minute is the team rely on him too much to create chances. All the onus is on Pogba. Every midfielder, and even Zlatan to a point, it all goes to Pogba. And they almost wait for him to do something of absolute magnitude, and he can't do it every game, every minute of the game, and he's going to make mistakes. But the problem we had yesterday is Pogba is having a poor game, but yet every player still passed him to create the opportunities because it wasn't coming from anywhere else. So he's always, the thing I like about the guy is that he will take the criticism on, because it's easy for a player in that position when you're having a bad game to just go, right, hang on, I'll just go sideways with this and just make my stats look good, basically. But I like the fact that he took the onus on himself to go, I'm having a poor game, but we all are, and we still need to create chances. And he kept trying, and I sort of tipped my hat off to him for that, to be honest, because he knew that he was going to be bringing a lot of pressure on himself. But I think he comes into unnecessary stick because he has no support at Manchester United in the midfield at the minute. I mean, Herrera's fantastic at what he does, but he doesn't really create a lot of clear-cut chances from United. Even when he gets assists, he's not creating chances. So I think that he needs support, and he needs another world-class midfielder to play with him, and then we'll see the best out of Paul Pogba, because let's not forget he was playing with some very talented midfielders at Juventus, and he just doesn't have that support at United yet.
New league, only 23 years of age, like you say, all the pressure in the world on him. And to be honest, and there's a great question, I'm going to come back, it's not from me, it's from the live comments in a moment, but what I would say is that, you know what, I did do the joke, I did put a joke on Twitter and I deleted it, and people said, well, I've deleted it because it was a joke, it wasn't meant to be real. And basically, Zlatan apologised and said it was his fault yesterday. So I did a tweet that basically said, applause to Zlatan for apologising it, Pogba and Lingard are too busy practising their dabs in the shower. And people took it. I love the way people defend Pogba, but again, there are people who are a bit annoyed with him. But what I would say is he nearly scored an absolutely great goal in the first half. That pace to break away from that Bournemouth back four. I mean, if anyone thinks he's slow, that proved he's not. And he didn't miss. It was a bloody good save to tip it round. It was going in the bottom corner. And you know what? If Phil Jones doesn't make that mistake, Bournemouth don't even get a draw. He was disappointed in the second half. He had that chance, not the one where he fell over, just before it on the far post where he swung at it and missed. If he catches that, I mean, that is, I don't know whether that's inexperience, nervous or what, but a player of his calibre, he should be putting that away. And he has had chances this year that he should be putting away. But I'm of the camp that he is a great signing. He will be a great player. But at the moment, we had the argument on Tuesday. We're doing another head-to-head this week on Tuesday. I think we're going to do Martial v Rashford. Funnily enough, we did Pogba v Herrera. Ross was Pogba, I was Herrera. I said Herrera is more important to Manchester United now, and I did win 51% to 49%, but it was bloody close. But I really do believe that Herrera is more important at the moment. But what I would say about Pogba yesterday, and I'll ask you this question, Ross, he was playing the deep two midfielders. That's not his position. When he plays further forward, he plays well. When he plays deep, people don't see him playing well, and he might be playing well because he might be doing what Carrick does. That sort of, positional position, just easy passes, which he probably was doing yesterday, but we want Pogba to attack. But if he's got to have the discipline of a two, we won't see it much. But Mickey Magic's question for you is, Pogba needs to walk the walk before he talks the talk.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the Jesse Lingard thing as well, who's fallen under criticism as well for his social media antics. And the social media stuff is he's talking the talk because he's bringing in revenue for Manchester United, and he's doing that for himself, he's doing that for the club, and he'll be actively encouraged to do that from the club. And even the manager in Jose Mourinho, because revenue brings in signing. So there's that part to it, and that's always going to be a part of his game. And I actively encourage that, to be honest. But yeah, I agree that you do need performances to come. But as you just said there, Mark, it is his first season. It's a new league, and we are so reliant on this man. I mean, he does have no. Yesterday, on Saturday, sorry, yeah, yesterday he had no support. I mean, he didn't even have Herrera with him either, and I think we struggled without Herrera. Going back to our head-to-head, I think that there was a massive gap in our midfield. Where Herrera was missing, and Carrick couldn't really fill that void. I was really surprised to see Carrick play. I didn't think a home game like that would be the game for Carrick, but he went with him, and again the subs disappointed me, and I don't think that helped Pogba either. I mean, if Pogba's struggling near that field, looking at that subs bench, going, I need help here. When you bring on Marouane Fellaini, I don't see where the help is, because he was another one who was diabolical when he came off the bench.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about that later in the show. But the idea of the new Sunday show is to try and get more people on. We're mixing it up with regulars, with new people as well, because we felt Skype Goldbridge on a Monday was a bit flat. Sunday night, it's topical. So thanks to Ross. He's going to be back on Tuesday with that head-to-head. But great to get you on, pal, and we'll speak to you very soon.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I'll continue to watch the show, and I hope it's a good one. Thanks, buddy.
Cheers, Ross. Great opener to the show there, and you can follow Ross on Twitter at Hazard90. I want one of you to call in now. It's at Skype Goldbridge. We've got lots to talk. I'll fly a question off you. We'll feed off the live comments. If you want to contribute and definitely get read out, you can do that through the super chat option on the live comments next to the emoji. But the Great Channel says, when has Pogba talked the talk? I think what people are talking about there, the Great Channel, is the emojis, the dabs, the adverts. He's got the persona and marketing of the world's best player. At the moment, he's not quite that. But I'm a big Pogba fan. I certainly won't be doing any of his Pogba flop video. I know a lot of people are sort of thinking of doing it. I certainly won't be doing that because I don't think we're at that stage. I think he's, he's sunk a few in a few games. He's disappeared. But I think a lot of it's to do with positions. And I think Ross's point at the end there about the substitution of Fellaini. We're going to talk about that later in the show, hopefully, with people. But that substitution, somebody did say in there you were really happy with the substitutions yesterday. I wasn't. I was happy with Rooney and Shaw going off because they looked tired. I wasn't happy with Fellaini going into the midfield. I thought he was going to go into the box next to Zlatan. He didn't. He had him running the midfield. It was one of the weirdest substitutions I've seen. The last 5 minutes he went into the box, but the 15 minutes before that, we've got Fellaini dictating the midfield, and it really didn't help us at all. Skype Goldbridge is the name. Get liking the video if you like the fact that Sunday Night Show, the flagship show for the United Stand, the first show we ever did, is now becoming more and more about you lot coming on. If you like the concept, like the video. But I'm waiting for somebody to call in. Skype Goldbridge on Skype. I saw Damien trying to do it a minute ago, pal. Skype back in, we'll pick up your call. The thing I like about Pogba is that he's always tries, even if he doesn't play well, says Gaming Freak. Very, very good point. And we need someone else to take the pressure off him. More consistent player ahead of Pogba. Right, we've got Ryan on. Ryan, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello, Ryan. Can you hear me? No, we've lost Ryan. Realist May. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello. You're live on United Stand, pal. What do you want to say?
Basically, Mourinho has two issues here, and one of the issues is that he's ruining his status as a Manchester United manager. one of those status is because he is making silly substitutions such as bringing on Fellaini and Lingard, who let's just say that they're not match winners. They won't really like change the game when we actually need them. Like, they're not good enough to do that. Like, they're not Manchester United standards. And another one is that he doesn't have the guts to take off players who have ego, like best players that are on the pitch, as he feels like players like such as Pogba, Zlatan, yeah. Whenever they have a bad game, he just never subs them. I don't know why, but he's got a winning mentality, and if something's not going right, you gotta always mix it up. Like, you always gotta mix it up, as in you always gotta sub someone who's not playing good, regardless of how big they are, regardless if they're a star. And
can I just
we're not winning games
in there? Because I just want to. You brought in a great point. The substitution yesterday, Fellaini for Carrick. I personally didn't understand it. I thought, you know what, going into the final 20 minutes of the game, who do you want to be running the midfield and feeding the players in front of them? Do you want Carrick to do it, or do you want Fellaini? Carrick, who can pass 40 yards, 10 yards, like pinpoint, or Fellaini, who just can't pass 5 yards. Also, this has happened a few times. Arsenal at home in November, he brought Rashford on at left back to play against... I don't think he brought Rashford on, but he put Rashford at left back. Chamberlain had him on toast. Cross comes in. Giroud gets an equaliser late on. Everton away. Fellaini brought on. Leon Osman after the game saying that we never let Fellaini anywhere near the box, and we lose points there. Do you think Mourinho's substitute? I mean, I think Mourinho's doing a great job, but I think somebody said it to me today, and the one said it mentioned on the show. Have you got concerns about his substitutions this year and his obsession with people like Lingard and Fellaini that you mentioned? I've not lost him. I've lost him. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Did you hear what I was saying to you then?
No, I didn't hear you. No.
I was basically just a summary of have you got?
What was you saying?
Have you got concerns about Jose Mourinho's substitutions this year?
Hello?
Because there's been a few. I think we're losing realistic, mate. Right, get Skype back. Get Skyping in. Give us your thoughts, and we will get you on the show. Let me have a look who we need to try now. Alex. Okay, let's get him on. Let's see what he's got to say. Hello, Alex. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Talking about, we've talked about Pogba there a little bit there. You can bring him in if you want to. But what I want to talk about next is this Harry Kane against Zlatan thing. A lot of people today, Harry Kane scoring a lot of goals at the moment. Some people say he's very clinical. I still think he's a big game bottler because I've never seen him appear against Manchester United. But he is whacking in a lot of goals at the moment, and Zlatan's been fantastic this year. It's a two-pronged question, really. One, do you think we'd be in the top four if we had Harry Kane up front and not Zlatan? People are saying he's more clinical. And two, do you think our season's over if Zlatan gets this 3-match ban?
In the first point, when you look at the conversion rate, I think Zlatan, out of like the top 5 scorers in the league or whatever it is, someone said today his conversion rate is 9%, and to put it into context, some of the others, like the highest ones, are on like in the 20s and like high teens. So he has the worst conversion rate, a terrible conversion rate. But I think Zlatan offers more to the team than just his goals. I think his hold-up play's good, and like some of his movement's great. But with Harry Kane, I'm a bit biased because I don't really like Kane, and I've been slating him for so long. I literally, funnily enough, just tweeted about Harry Kane like 30 seconds ago because some journalist said I don't actually know how Harry Kane scores so many goals. And it's true. Like, he's obviously a great finisher, but I don't really know like any other like good attribute he has. He's not like mega fast. He's not like mega strong like as Zlatan or whatever. But if you go by conversion rate, I guess we would be in the top 4 if we had him, because Zlatan has missed a hell of a lot of chances this season. In terms of is our season over without Zlatan? I don't think so in the slightest. I think, if anything, my mate who supports Chelsea said that he's actually annoyed that Zlatan is banned for the game because he'd rather play against Zlatan because he thinks that he'll be easier to mark than if Rashford comes in. But My one fear is if it's Rooney that replaces Zlatan rather than Rashford.
I've got a great question for you from Shaka Phillips in a minute, but I was watching it today. I'm not a big fan of Harry Kane or Lukaku. I think they're not top 4 strikers, and I know Spurs are in the top 4, but you know what I mean. They're not going to win the title with him. He's a very good striker, and Kevin Phillips was a very good Premier League striker, and Darren Bent was a very good Premier League striker, but they didn't play for a team that wins the league. And Harry Kane goes missing in the big games. 30 games a year. He'll whack goals in left, right and centre. But against the big teams, Manchester United are a big team, he disappears. And so does Lukaku. Comparing, and I saw somebody say today, I had to reply to it on Twitter, Harry Kane is the striker Manchester United wish Zlatan was. It's like comparing a pot noodle to a steak. I mean, Zlatan Ibrahimovic is one of the best and still one of the best strikers in the world. Like Alex said there, his finishing hasn't been great, but it's everything else he brings to the plate. He's an absolute monster. In relation to the ban, Alex, I mean, I'm a bit like you. I just think, you know what? The only issue is if the ban means he plays Rooney up front. Because if he plays Rooney up front, I think the season is over. If he plays Rashford up front, then I'm quite excited to see something a bit different. Because I see City today against Sunderland. I see Spurs. I see Chelsea. I see Liverpool. Even Arsenal when they win. They're hitting teams fast and they're scoring goals. We're so slow on the build-up play, and the only outlet of pace we've got is Martial, and teams know to double up over on that side, and everything else, it's just so lethargic.
Exactly, and I think if we go back to when Zlatan's gone to this 4-3-3, and then we will actually have a quick front three of Martial, Rashford, and Mkhitaryan, so that'll be good. And like you said, it is too slow. We definitely have the slowest attack in the top 6, and it really is it can be predictable, especially against teams that park it. It's just loads of passes around and not really creating the clear-cut chances to get the tap-ins and everything.
Well, I mean,
but also, sorry, quickly on that 4-3-3 thing, I know you were speaking earlier about Pogba. I think Joe was saying it in the chat, and it is true, that Pogba wasn't that good in the Euros because he was forced to play that deep role for France. And it's the same when he plays for us. It's nullifying his attributes if you just play him in that two-man midfield. But when Carrick's playing, and if we get a new signing in the summer to play that Carrick role, it just releases Pogba and he has more of a license to attack.
Yeah, I was trying to get you on visually there. I don't know why it's not working. But there's a question in the live comments I need to ask you as well. Shaka Phillips says, are you becoming impatient with Lingard?
With Lingard? I'm not really impatient with Lingard because I never had any hopes for him anyway. He's another player I don't really get what he does. I mean, he pops up with the odd goal. He obviously loves scoring at Wembley, but aside from that, I know he makes good runs, but he doesn't really do anything that I notice in games.
No, I just think he's a squad player, but I look at Pereira, look at Januzaj. I think even Januzaj could offer more than he does. I thought yesterday he was just... That was what I meant to mention there about the slowness, going down to 10 men. United, even under Sir Alex, we're really poor at breaking down 10 men. And yesterday, it was when we went that second half, Bournemouth just dealt with us so easily. I think we would have won the game comfortably 11 against 11 because Bournemouth were having a go. But as soon as they basically just defended for their lives, and then I was convinced we were going to get a late goal, but then that substitution of that triple substitution just killed us. It was he brought Fellaini on for Carrick and then made Fellaini play as a defensive midfielder. Then he put him in the box for the last 5 minutes, which he should have been in for the last 20 minutes. But then he had Lingard at left back, where if Shaw's tired, bring Blind in because he's got a left foot to cross. Lingard can't cross. Lingard's just getting in Martial's way. And Rashford just didn't do much on the right either. It was that treble substitution actually killed us, I thought.
Yeah, I do agree with you. But also, when you look at yesterday's bench, Herrera would have been the only other player that you could really say about bringing on. But Herrera this season he's obviously been brilliant overall, but going forward he hasn't really offered that much. And if we needed a goal, but I suppose his energy to win the ball back and then put us back onto the attack could have been helpful. But yeah, it's just becoming ridiculous. I do agree with what you said. And it was 7 keepers have got man of the match against us, but like you said, it is just terrible finishing. It's we're helping these keepers get man of the match because it can't be just coincidence 7 times. The odd time maybe, but not 7 times.
No. Okay. Thanks for coming on, Alex. Great to get you on, and I'll speak to you again soon.
See you later.
Cheers, pal. Yeah, I'm going to get... Xander's been trying to call in. Skype in. Get Skype in. You can come on the show. Don't worry about it. Alex makes a good point there that I was saying yesterday on our little chat that we have, that goalkeepers being man of the match. I'm absolutely fed up of this unlucky, goalkeepers having a worldie. He made a good save against Pogba twice in that game, but if your finishing's good, a keeper never saves it. That's what I would say. Damien, can I hear you? Damien, can you hear me? Skype in. Get Skype in. You can come on the show. Don't worry about it. Okay, all I can hear was myself on that one. Keep Skyping in. Let's see what you got to say. All right, we've got Xander on. Xander, can you hear me?
I can do, Mark. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Not too bad.
Right, I'll throw a question because that's the purpose of the show.
Yep.
What about top four? What about top four? Are we at that point yet where you think it's gone? Or should we be focusing on the Europa League? Is that a risk? What I would say is that a lot of people are saying we are currently only a game in hand off top four effectively. And we're very close to top four. I think City, Spurs and Chelsea are probably going to get the top three positions, which leaves us against Liverpool and Arsenal. I don't do the United stand for a laugh. I do a little bit of research, and I can quite comfortably tell you that we are not in fourth at the moment. We have been sixth for 4 months. I think that's a consistent thing now. And I think also, I've looked at the fixtures remaining, and this is going to shock people because of the meltdown Arsenal Fan TV are in at the moment. I think Arsenal will get fourth. I've looked at the fixtures. They have a game in hand on Liverpool that will put them ahead of Liverpool. The running they've got is far superior to ours. And I don't know whether people have realised, but in May, we will have 3 games in 7 days, and they are Spurs, City and Arsenal away. I'm not saying we can't do it. I'm just thinking it's going to be difficult now because we haven't won the games that we needed to win. Yesterday, Hull, we've dropped too many points against teams we should have won.
Yeah, well, just quickly, what you said about how we've got Tottenham, Spurs and City away, I think you said. You could look at that as in, they're really tough games. But then again, you could look at it as in, if we win those head-to-heads, and, they're 6 pointers almost. So, and that could, tip us over the edge and get us top four. That was going to be one of my points. We have still got all these teams to play. So it's not like we've played them all and it's just all in their hands and we have no control over it. We can just do good, do decent, win all our kind of the small games, and then we've got those teams, those top four opposition teams in a sense. If we win them, we're right in it. I think that will give us top four. I think I was just thinking about it before I come on air. Europa League does excite me a little bit now. A European kind of a European trophy. I'm just thinking about it, the final, the excitement that would bring. Imagine us winning the final of the Europa League. Yeah, I know we said it was a bit of a Mickey Mouse Cup, but at the end of the day, it is a Europa League and a European trophy, and there aren't that bad teams in it. Roma, etc. They're decent teams, so to win it would be great. If we can do it, I don't know. That, again, like I've said for so many weeks now, is Jose Mourinho's choice. If it was up to me, I think we've got the squad to do both. I said it earlier on in the year. I think we've got the squad to do both. Rashford in the Europa League, Zlatan in the Premier League. I know you say that's not how it's done, and I admit, fair enough, that is not how it works. But if he did want to go for both, I think we can do it. Just touching on, I know I go on a bit, but just touching on Kane. I know Alex talked about it, but I just wanted to offer the other side to the argument. Kane scores against the smaller teams, and he's a big game bottler, whatever. But if you think about it, Bournemouth yesterday, if we won that, we would have.
I know where you're going. Yeah, you're right. I know where you're going. You're right.
Yeah, I'll continue it. What I was going to say for people who didn't clock on to it, it's all good saying we're having strikers that score in the big games, but the points we've dropped this season, Stoke, Bournemouth, Everton, etc., have been against small teams. So if you've got a striker who can bang in the goals against the smaller teams, for me, Harry Kane and Zlatan up top, I know that offers a lack of pace, but get a big game player and get someone like Harry Kane who's just consistently good. You can't deny the amount of goals he's getting. Yeah, he may not be extremely fast, extremely strong, whatever, but he scores against the smaller teams. And, there are 6 big clubs in the Premier League and, 14 small clubs in the Premier League. I'll tell you what I'd rather have. I'd rather win against all the 14 smaller teams and hedge my bets against the bigger teams. So I think Harry Kane would not be a bad player. I'm not saying I definitely want him. I think there's better out there. Griezmann, maybe he can do it against the smaller teams and the top teams. We don't know. That'll be for us to find out. But I'm saying, people are saying, Harry Kane's big game bottler, etc. I don't. That's an insult, but also kind of compliments him in the fact that he scores in all the other games.
Well, let's take it to a bigger point. That actually you look at Spurs. And that's who Harry Kane plays for. And I predicted a couple of weeks ago when they went to Liverpool, they'll bottle as the North, and they'll get beat. And they did get beat. But they've then won their last 2 league games against Everton and Stoke at home. We struggled to win at home. And Spurs are well and truly cemented in the top 4. So I think Spurs are big game bottlers. Not just Harry Kane, they are big game bottlers. They bottled the Champions League. They went to the Europa League. They bottled that. They bottled it away at Spurs. But they are well and truly ingrained into the top 4 because against the teams like Bournemouth and Burnley and all the other teams that we've drawn at home to, they've not bottled it. They've comfortably beaten them and put the points on the board, and we haven't. Just one thing I want to mention to you as well, Xander, before you go. James Aaron's made a super comment. He has put £2 towards the channel through the super chat, which you can as well. But thankfully, he's also asked a question because it's a good one, and it sort of fits in with what you were saying there. We still haven't replaced Chicharito. We need a super sub who in the last 15 minutes, you put them in the box and they get a goal. And actually, I do agree. The only, well, he's nothing like Chicharito, but the only option we have as a plan B is Chuck Fellaini in the box.
Oh, you say Chuck Fellaini in the box, but I think Rashford is a little bit like that as well, He makes an impact, he's fast, he's far than everyone else, especially when he comes off the bench. He said in an interview last year that after his game against Midgetland, he said, Louis van Gaal told me to play in the width of the 6-yard box, right? And if Mourinho just goes out there, tells him, go out there and play in that width, play in that central kind of area, stick there, you'll get your chance, right? I think he could really do a job for us as a plan B, as another option. Imagine you're a defender and you're dealing with Zlatan the whole game, elbows, this and that. And then you get Rashford coming on and you're thinking, blimey, I've got this guy who's going to run in my eye now and I'm knackered as well. That's a nightmare for defenders. So I think, Fellaini as well, but that's kind of the same option as Zlatan in a way. I think get Rashford on, it confuses the defenders and it gives them a whole new thing to think about. So I think he isn't too bad of a plan B.
Cheers, Xander. Thanks for calling in. Good points, as per usual. And we'll get you on again soon, pal.
Cheers, Mark.
Cheers, pal. Thank you. Good calls again tonight. I'm going to get Billy, the United fan, on because he's been trying for a long time. But please do Skype in. Skype Goldbridge is the name on Skype. Billy, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, another one gone. Talking about bottlers, we've had a few tonight, but try again. Skype Goldbridge is the name. Discuss whether we should prioritise the Europa or the league, says Isaac Bishop. Where have you been for the last 5 minutes? We were just talking about that there. Duke Dolman, let's try. I think we've had him on before. Can you hear me, pal?
Hey, Mark, how's it going?
I'm very good. How are you, pal?
Oh, not too bad. Feeling a bit down after the result against Bournemouth yesterday, but we have to pick ourselves up and push on.
Okay, we'll talk about that. Jack Strand, I'll come back to that comment, don't worry. Yeah, well, is there anything in particular that's niggling you? We spoke a little bit when I lost Damien before about there's a lot of criticism of Zlatan, there's a lot of criticism of Pogba, but ultimately we do have a manager who I back and think's fantastic. But I did get that question today. Mark, you need to talk about it on the show tonight. The substitutions yesterday were shocking. Lingard at left back with 20 minutes to go. Fellaini replacing Carrick and playing defensive midfield. It's not the first time it's happened. He put Rashford on. He put a tired Rashford at left back against the fresh Chamberlain against Arsenal at Old Trafford, who skinned him and put a cross in with 2 minutes to go, and Giroud rescued a point. Everton away, game 1 with a great performance. He puts Fellaini on. He costs us a penalty. There are others. Do you have concerns about Mourinho's substitutions?
Well, I think with the substitutions, it was 2 out of 3. I wasn't against him making attacking changes to try and push for the last goal. But for me, taking off Carrick was a big mistake. If you're going to bring on Fellaini in the dying minutes of a game, then we know where he should be, up at the number 10, where you can just ping balls off his afro and hope to get a lucky goal. But expecting him to sit back and orchestrate the play when you need every pass to count, he's never going to play an incisive 30-yard or 40-yard pass, is he? So for me, I think Jose gambled and lost with that part of his substitutions.
Yeah, a good question come here from the Great Channel, so I'll throw it at you. Wants us to talk about set pieces. It's been a bugbear of mine all season. Red Rumours tomorrow up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, talking transfers. A centre-back who you might not have heard of, who is going to be available this summer, United and Chelsea linked with him. So do watch that. But yesterday was yet another example of why I'm a Chris Smalling fan at the moment. Because he's the only threat we've got in the air. Bay's not bad, but Smalling's a threat in the air. Again, yesterday, we resorted to playing the short corner and trying to pass it around the box because every corner we put in, Bournemouth were winning it because we are so bad at corners. It is a disgrace. And that's because we're not a threat in the air. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but again, I think that I would have chucked Smalling. I mean, Jones had such a bad game yesterday. I felt sorry for him. I'd have took him off at half-time and put Smalling on just to give us a threat in the air because we were getting so many corners.
Well, you're absolutely right. And I mean, like you, I back the manager, but I have to say this is one of the areas where I think there's been some inconsistency. You have to look at the squad and say who truly is a threat from set pieces. For me, Smalling, yes, he's proven that he can do that, so he should be involved. But also, I think Bastian Schweinsteiger, who both of us have been calling for all season. You see Bastian, when there's a corner, he runs for the near post, gets the flick on. He is a threat from set pieces. Why are we not making use of both those players, Smalling and Schweinsteiger? So I think this is one of them situations where Jose's little bit of stubbornness has actually robbed us of that opportunity. And if you look at Jose's managerial career historically, he always likes to rake in a good return of goals from set pieces over the course of the season. He expects to get, 20, 30% of his goals by capitalising on set pieces, and we've really failed to exploit that with our team selection.
I'm going to ask you next about 6th place. We've been in 6th place for 4 months now. We've drawn 7 of our 11 home games at Old Trafford, most of which against teams that we should be beating. Off the top of my head, I can name Stoke, Burnley, West Ham, Bournemouth, Hull, Arsenal. We should be beating Arsenal at home. They are bottlers up north. I'm just going to ask you about 6th and whether you think we will ever move away from it, or that is where we deserve to be because we've been there for so long now. But I just want to pick up on a few comments because the Smalling thing always gets on people's nerves. George Kyle says, Jesus wept, this Smalling loving is going to make me mad. Why were players like Smalling rested after a week off, says Richard Stainer. Very good point, Richard. Bailly was rested but can't play on Thursday because he's suspended. I didn't get that, and we could have done with Bailly yesterday. He certainly wouldn't have looked as rusty as Phil Jones did. I mean, I'm not going to criticise Phil Jones. He cost us the game yesterday. You could say Zlatan cost us it from missing a penalty, but I don't think Bournemouth score a goal yesterday if we don't hand him a penalty. It was Jones's fault.
I agree.
I'll give you that thought. I don't know what you think about Phil Jones, but personally, I just felt sorry for him. He was so off the pace. He should have been taken out of his misery.
Yeah, Jose made some changes in defence yesterday, and there could be question marks over why he didn't stick with the defence that was working before. But to come to what you're saying about 6th, I honestly think we're in that last chance saloon now where if we can't guarantee we're going to get those wins in the league, we've got to be looking, unfortunately, at the Europa as the swiftest route to Champions League football. At the end of the day, we've got 7 games in the Europa, and we've got quite a few more than that in the league, and our league form has just been too inconsistent, especially at home.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I got a bit of criticism for this yesterday, just the final thing before we get somebody else on. What about, I basically said, look, people were saying yesterday, and I was in a bad mood, I'm sure a lot of Manchester United fans were, and I do react badly to things for about 24 hours. But I was basically...
honestly, it's very cathartic to listen to you when you're ranting, because we all feel the same.
Well, not everybody. There are still some of those who, in a way I sort of respect, because it's win, lose or draw, we're all happy and we love United, which I love United no matter what, but I ain't going to sit back and be happy about a result like that, because we're passionate and we expect a little bit more. But what my point was, and I don't know what your thought is, people are saying we've got to focus on the Europa League now. I think that's a little bit arrogant, because I tell you what, Lyon, Schalke, Roma, they are 10 times better than Bournemouth and Hull. And if we can't beat those sort of teams, I know we'll probably... The thing about United is there was a tweet today from a City fan saying, can't wait to play United in May. We're going to batter them 5-0. And I replied and said, we'll probably go to the Etihad and beat you 5-0, but the problem is we'll still be in 6th. Because on a one-off, I think we can beat anybody.
Yeah, no, I think you're quite right. There is quality to come in the Europa League, and I think we're in for some very exciting European games. What I would say, though, is the Europa League is less of a meat grinder. These guys are going to come out and play much more open football, perhaps less physical. And as you've seen traditionally, the United side, with a little bit of steel in them from Premier League football, can come out and bully some of these European teams. So I think we might actually have a little more luck in getting results, especially with players of European pedigree like Pogba, and who sometimes goes missing in the league, and of course Zlatan. So although I agree, I wouldn't put all my eggs in the Europa basket. If we keep this unfortunately inconsistent league form, we may end up having to gamble on the Europa.
Fantastic call as per usual. Where are you calling from? I always forget.
Canada, the frozen north, although I am from Surrey originally.
Fantastic. Lots of people, you've been on before, they really like your voice. We'd love to get you on more regularly, but it's very difficult to get in contact with people via Skype. If you are interested,
of course,
if you are interested on coming on a little bit more, just take a note of this. Soccerboxtv@gmail.com. Drop me an email in the next couple of minutes and we'll sort something out.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Mark.
Okay. Cheers, pal. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Lots of people calling in, Skyping in. I'm going to take... Carisha's trying to get on. We do want to get Carisha on. I'm just going to get Stephen on as well. Stephen, hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Mark. How you doing, pal?
I'm very good. How are you?
Still lower than a snake's belly, to be honest.
Oh, dear, oh, dear. Just to Carisha and Indy and everyone else who are phoning in, just hold off for a moment, but when Stephen's done, get Skyping in. Stephen, what was it you wanted to talk about? Anything in particular?
Yeah, I think... been thinking about it since yesterday, just weighing up the league. I think we missed a trick in the transfer window big time. I think Jose talked about how he'd need 2 or 3 transfer windows to sort it out. And I'm a little bit mystified as to how we let January go by without strengthening the squad. For the whole season, I think we've been on a knife edge. In the first third, we had everything going the wrong end on the wrong side. So decisions weren't going our way. We were playing okay, but nothing was working out. Then the second third of the season, things were tipping the other way. We weren't playing that much better, I don't think, but the results and decisions were starting to go our way. My fear now is that there's a bit of a pattern emerging already where things are starting to go the other side. Again, we're not playing much better or worse than we have been. So I just think I'm a little bit concerned. Well, not concerned, but I just don't understand why Jose wouldn't have utilised that transfer window and just brought in a bit of extra strength to the squad. I know it's easy to say all that retrospectively, but it's still something that I think's worth considering.
It's a good point, and Jack Strand, I hadn't forgot you. You did contribute through the super chat, and he did say that Lindelof has signed a new deal at Benfica. I'll have to read it out because he did it through the super chat. It does expose me slightly because I did say that Lindelof was a done deal in December, and I still thought it might happen in the summer, and it still may happen in the summer. But it sort of feeds into what Stephen was saying there. There was a massive indication that we were going to do that deal. What I said about it is the news, we've been right before. We're never going to be right all the time. But the news was that we were going to sign him. But what I never said was that we should sign him because, to be honest, I'm quite pleased that we're not signing Lindelof. There's a player I'm going to talk to you about tomorrow on Red Rumours who I do like. There's also Rafael Varane, Manolas. There's a lot of better options than Lindelof I'd be more happier with. But picking up on Stephen's point there, I don't know what people at home think. I don't know what people think. But I do sort of agree. We did fantastic business, Stephen, with Memphis and Schneiderlin for the money that we got for them.
Yeah.
But then to not replace them has left us reliant on substitutions like yesterday. And I'm not slating Fellaini and I'm not slating Lingard, but they're not consistent performers. Yes, they can do great at Wembley. Yes, they can get a late goal when you chuck them into the box for the last 5 minutes. But when you need them for 25 minutes and you really need them, it's a flick of a coin as to whether they will produce. Where maybe we could have got players that would have been a bit more consistent than that.
Yeah, I mean, to be a Manchester United player, you have to just be consistent every week in, week out. And I think down the years we might have had a couple of people where, an Anderson or a Nani might have been a little bit inconsistent, but they were good from time to time. At the moment, it feels like half the squad are inconsistent. I thought Pogba was dreadful yesterday, and it's not his fault that the price tag that we paid for him, but it's now at the point where it feels like there's more matches where he hasn't performed compared to ones where he's really pulled it out of the bag. And I'm thinking about Griezmann and just you did say Lindelof was a done deal. I think that's part of what makes the United stand entertaining. Just going for it and saying this is going to happen. But my fear is with Griezmann now is that he's going to be watching Man United, and I don't know what there is about our team at the moment that's going to draw him to us. And also thinking back to the comments he made about the weather and everything, you just have to look at what happened with Di Maria, where he just couldn't adapt to the climate, couldn't adapt to the culture, and he didn't even make comments like that before coming. So Griezmann coming isn't a done deal, and Griezmann, if he does come, really performing isn't a done deal. And I think we've got so much business to do over the summer, like massive overhaul.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Tyrone Williams says Jesse Lingard isn't world class. Simple as that. He's not even working class, Tyrone. Cheer up, Mark. At least Forest won 3-0, says Thomas Williams. Well, I didn't even know that. And I've actually had my parents down who live from Nottingham today, and they didn't even tell me that. So, well done to the Forest. I miss Champions League anthem, man, says H. Well, I mean, that's a very good question, actually, Stephen. As of now, I've not even thought about this myself, so I'll have a little think as well. Are you confident we're going to get Champions League football now? Let's not forget, you don't get Champions League for winning the Europa League or the FA Cup. We'll only get it for the Europa. I'm not saying that to you, Stephen. I'm sure you know, but we'll only get it by top four, which we seem consistently to want to mess up, or Europa League, which people, it doesn't annoy me, but I just think there's a bit of arrogance there that they assume we can just go and win the Europa League. Trust me, some of them teams left in that tournament, even Rostov, are better than the likes of Bournemouth. So we could be out in a couple of weeks' time. I don't think we will. I think we will beat Rostov, but it's a slog, and we will be properly tested, and we will have the equivalent of yesterday, where we've got to score in the second half. And if we can't do it in the league, what makes people think we can do it in the Europa League?
Oh yeah, I completely agree. I think this. Oh yeah, at least we got the Europa League. I wouldn't be confident going into any match at the moment, and you want to stay positive, but oh man, I think I can easily see us not doing it and not getting top four or the Europa League. I'd love us to. I think
it's a terrifying thought. It's terrifying.
But at the same time, if you look at the pattern of the season, everything points to us not doing it.
In the league, especially, yeah.
Yeah, unless something changes drastically, he has to start playing Schweinsteiger. I mean, when he's played, he's been amazing. He's got so much experience. He's got loads to offer. And I feel like we had this with Ferguson as well, where sometimes he baffled you with some decisions he made. But you live and die by those decisions. And I don't know how many times he needs to bring on Fellaini and for it to not work, to start thinking, if Schweinsteiger would come on yesterday instead of Fellaini, I believe we would have won that game. It's baffling, and if we keep going into the games, and I don't know if you said it or one of the other callers, but if Mourinho, he is stubborn, and part of what makes him brilliant is his arrogance, but arrogance magnifies whatever you're doing. So if you're doing well, then the arrogance feeds that and makes you do better. But if you're doing badly, it means you're unwilling to shift in your stance. And at the moment, his obsession with, first of all, not taking off Pogba regardless of what kind of game he's having, but also bringing on the same substitutions every game. Rooney was good yesterday, but he brings him on in games where he's the wrong choice. And it does concern me that things... When you're watching a Man United game and things are going badly and the manager doesn't change things, it's frustrating. But at the moment, we've got that exact same thing happening with our season, where we're doing the same thing game after game, and we've won a lot of games where we haven't been that great, and I think it's papered over the cracks. And yeah, so in answering your question, I think it's really possible that we wouldn't make top 4 or Europa League. I really hope we do. I think FA Cup, forget about it. Play, give some of the youth a go, and not because it's Man United and we need to play the youth, just because they're good players.
I'll tell you what, though, I sort of agree with you on that, because we are in the last chance saloon, like you said, in the league, and we're going to have to go some to get top 4. Europa League's going to be very, very difficult. We should, the FA Cup, we should be thinking, look, that's 3 days before Rostov. If we've not got a good result in Rostov, we've got to be fresh for that. But I'll tell you all now, some managers are like this, probably 99% of managers are like this. They put their own reputation before the club. There is no way Mourinho's not picking his best team away to Chelsea. He will do. Whether it's better for Manchester United to rest for Rostov or not, he's not going to go to Chelsea and get humiliated again. He will put his best team out, whether that's right or wrong. Thanks, Stephen, for calling in. I know you've sent me that video. I will watch it later on tonight and get back to you. But
right.
Thanks for calling in again.
Thanks, pal.
Cheers, thank you. What I did want to say there as well, Carisha, keep calling because you are going to be my next call. What I wanted to say was that I've seen people on Twitter today, and I don't know what people think about this. Gareth McGinty says, how do you donate to the channel on the live comments? If you can't see the $ on the bottom of the live comments, it might not be available in your country. It's next to the emoji at the bottom of the live comments. There's a $ there. You do it through that. And if you do contribute towards it, like people do on Twitch, to their favourite channels, we make sure you put a question up so we can read it. But I want to just say this as well. I'll tell you what, let me get Carisha on and I can ask this first question. Carisha, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello.
Hello. I just want to ask you a question first before you start talking. I don't know whether you've been listening, but I asked Stephen there if he's confident that we're going to get if he's confident we're going to get Champions League either through the top 4 or the Europa League. Now on social media, a lot of people have been saying today, if we don't get Champions League football, why aren't people saying Mourinho should be sacked? Because they did the same to Moyes, they did the same to Van Gaal. What are your thoughts on that?
Mourinho being sacked because we haven't got Champions League.
Yeah, I mean personally, I don't agree. I think he's done a good job, but
I think I wouldn't sack him because of that. It's not that we're not okay. We're playing way better. We're not coming out of a game and saying, what the hell, what were we watching? We weren't even trying. We're trying, but the players aren't finishing the chances. You can't put that on the manager.
Yeah, no, I'd agree.
I wouldn't fire him.
I don't think there's any danger of him going, but it was interesting that already there are some fans who are starting to think like that. I don't agree with that at all. What was there anything in particular you wanted to talk about, Carisha? I know you come on and you give a passionate view. Was there anything you wanted to talk about, or do you want me to throw a question at you?
No, I actually wanted to talk about something. From watching yesterday's game, I'm like, okay, I know you can't really name your price tag, right? So Pogba could not do anything about his $89 million price tag. But what I'm saying is, we paid $89 million for someone that has not carried the team. Is the thing that I don't like is that you can't blame Zlatan alone, because yes, Zlatan had a dreadful game yesterday, and for some reason I felt like he was going to miss that penalty. I felt it before he even kicked the ball. But what I'm saying is that when Zlatan is down, you don't have Pogba carrying the team. Aguirre has carried Pogba majority of the time. Yes, Pogba can pass. He has some glorious passing in him. But I don't know. For $89 million, I expected more from Pogba. We seem to carry more than he carries us.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to sort of say that I back Pogba. I like him. I think he'll be a good player. But I also, as the presenter, have to feed in what I read, and a lot of people are sort of along that line. They're like, he's our biggest earner, he's our most expensive player, he's the most expensive player in world football, and people sometimes forget that he is not producing the goods that we need in games like yesterday, where we've got 45 minutes to break down a team that we need to beat. He's not stepping up. He's had good games, but he's not had enough fantastic games, and that is a concern for some people.
It is true, because I'm saying I've never seen a game where Zlatan has played poorly and you say Pogba stood up. You have some game where Zlatan has played poorly and it wasn't Pogba that stood up. It was either Mkhitaryan or Aguirre or somebody else. I'm waiting to see. I'm not saying he's a bad player because I've watched him. I like him, but I'm waiting to see him stand up. I'm just waiting for that.
Do you think he will? Do you think he is going to fulfil that potential, or do you think, as some people are saying, he will never do it and he will ultimately end up being the most expensive flop United have ever signed, which terrifies me?
No, I think he'll do it. There's one part of Pogba's game that I've realized. So for a tall guy, he cannot tackle. He cannot tackle. I don't know why, but Paul Pogba cannot tackle. He needs to fix that. I don't know if you haven't seen it, but he can't tackle.
What I've missed about Pogba, and we've not seen a lot of it in recent weeks, I certainly remember it in his debut against Southampton and a few games, but not in the last few weeks, is when Paul Pogba gets the ball in the midfield and runs at the opposition and terrifies them, because he'll go past somebody and then the space happens. And it reminds me a bit of, I watched City against Sunderland, and Sunderland are rubbish, and Moyes never should have been our manager, and he'll get the sack and they'll go down. But we are not stretching teams. Our build-up play is so slow that it doesn't help Martial, who needs to be running fast at people, and it doesn't help Pogba, who also is a good player when he's running at people. I think our build-up play just doesn't suit Paul Pogba, and I certainly agree with you that he shouldn't be playing in the midfield too. He should be playing more advanced, because that's where you get the best out of Paul Pogba.
What I'm talking about. Look at this. We're going to talk about something. Look at Under Era. Everybody Under Era was essential attacking mid, right? But now he's playing deeper. You're allowed to adapt, and Paul Pogba is way tall and more physical than Ayera, yet he's not doing it. The thing with Paul Pogba is he's glorious when he's on the ball. Watch him off the ball. He doesn't tackle. He allows the player to walk past him. You know, the only time he tackles is if you when you look at it, is when the player passes him and he has to do some last ditch tackle, and then he might give up a foul.
Can I just ask you a question, just finally, before I let you go, because it's just popped up here from Brian Price. He says, let's let Paul Pogba take the free kicks and he'll score more goals. One thing in the game yesterday that frustrated me, I know he scored.
Zlatan shouldn't have taken it. Zlatan shouldn't have taken it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I know he scored in the League Cup final, but I've seen Zlatan take about 1 million free kicks this season, and most of them have gone into the wall. One of them went in.
The funny thing is that when he went up to take that in the Southampton game, I was like, Jesus, please do not do it, Zlatan. Do not give it to Pogba. And when he scored, I was like, whoa. And I'm like, well, that was one time. But Pogba has this sick obsession with the post, though. I don't know why. He likes the post.
But you know what? I mean, who would you have on free kicks? Because there was that free kick yesterday, and I personally think Mata or Rooney were better.
I think Mata should have taken it because he's left-footed. I've seen Mata take. And another thing I want to talk about is Chris Smalling and Bailly. I like as I said before in another call, I'm waiting for Chris Smalling to turn back into that Chris Smalling that, well, what did somebody call Mike Smalling or whatever. I'm waiting for him to turn back into that guy. Another thing I realized with that though is like, no, I won't even jump on Jones. Like, everybody's jumping on him. You do make a mistake. We never expected that from Jones. Not because he made that one mistake. He was playing good before that. Like in the season, a lot of persons make mistake. But the Smalling and Bailly, I like them as individual. Bailly is great. Smalling is great. Well, sometime, but I don't think they'll ever form a partnership, and that's what I like. Jones and Rowe do have a partnership. I just don't see Bailly and Smalling ever working it out. I don't know why.
Well, I think we need to sign a sense back in the summer. I really do. Thanks for calling in, Carisha. Brilliant as ever. And please do call in again.
Thanks.
Thank you. Very good, Carisha, as per usual on the show. There's something I meant to ask her, actually. She's gone now. There are a few issues with Manchester United at the moment. Even I think there are. As much as I back Mourinho, and as much as I think Pogba will come good, and as much as I love Zlatan, there are issues. And maybe word it slightly wrong here, but the hypocrisy of how Pogba and Zlatan are treated compared to the public bashing people like Luke Shaw, Mkhitaryan and Martial have had for not shocking performances but average performances, and yet there has been a number of average performances from Pogba especially, and yet nothing, just keeps picking him. Is that just because he costs so much money and the bashing we'd get for dropping at the most expensive player in world football? But is that right? Is that right that Manchester United, this big entity that should always be massive and bigger than anything, that entity is being somewhat demeaned by the fact that we will certainly pick these players every week? And also, should we have a number 9? Like I say, I love Zlatan, but I don't agree with this. Should we have a number 9 who every time we get a free kick is shoving away better free kick takers because he's numero 1, he's the big man, and what he says happens? This is Manchester United. It's not the MLS. It's not exhibition football. When we get a good free kick in a good position, the best free kick taker should take it. And yesterday we had one, and it should have been either Mata, second Rooney, third Pogba, and last, I would have had bloody Rashford take it over Zlatan. He wasn't on the pitch. I still would have had him. I don't like Zlatan as a free kick taker. I know he scored in the League Cup final and it was fantastic, but I'll tell you what, for that one free kick, there's been about 50 this year that have been shocking, and I don't understand why. We already know that when we get a corner, we may as well give them a goal kick, because we ain't going to score it. Unless Smalling and Schweinsteiger are on the pitch, we're not going to score a corner, and they're not normally on the pitch, so we should just give them a goal kick. So that's one thing nullified. You know, we have a shot, the keeper tips it round the post, you think, well, that's the end of that, we're not going to do anything from a corner. That's already a dead duck. Corners. And I think free kicks have become a dead duck as well, because you know Zlatan's taking the free kick, and 99% of the time he's going to miss it. And people say, well, it's not 99% of the time. I bet he has had about 100 free kicks this year, and he scored one. Juan Mata is a god in the right side. It is on the right side with free kicks. He's fantastic. Rooney scored that great. He scored great free kicks in the past. I remember one at the Empty had a few years ago. And Pogba has got a good technique for free kicks. Again, we are just killing another angle for scoring goals, and beggars cannot be choosers. The chances we're missing in front of goal at the moment, we desperately need to sort the corner situation out, because we do get a lot of corners. We're just rubbish at them. I don't think we can sort that out till the summer unless we start playing Smalling and Schweinsteiger, which he seems not to want to do. And also, the free kick situation, we're not going to solve that while Zlatan's breathing in a Manchester United shirt. I don't want Zlatan. I like Zlatan. I love having Zlatan at Manchester United. I cannot go down that path. I sort of understand why people are saying we'd be better off without him, with the more clinical striker. But he's just, even that thing that went off yesterday with the elbow and that, I just thought, and I tell you what, that's the best bit of captaincy I've ever seen from Wayne Rooney. The way he manipulated the referee and kept Zlatan on the pitch, I thought it was fantastic. I've really enjoyed the show tonight. It's Sunday night show, but we're mixing it up. I know for the last 2 years of the United Stand, we've always done a Sunday night show with 2 or 3 set guests for an hour. Tonight, what we've done is we've had a few of the regulars on, but we've had a few of you on as well for about 5 minutes, talking about stuff that's topical, and that's what we want to do with the United Stand. We want these shows to be your opportunity to come on as well. So if you've liked this new way of doing it on a Sunday show, because Skype Goldbridge on a Monday night at 8:30 works really well, but the weekend's gone and we've started a new week. Sunday night, we're still topical. We're still talking about the yesterday lunchtime's game, and I think it works better letting you come on, because you've got more to talk about and I can feed stuff at you. So if you've enjoyed everybody on the show tonight and all the guests have been fantastic, please do drop a like on the video. If you are new to the United Stand, in fact, there's over 700 of you watching. Please drop a like. Let's see if we can get 500 before the show's done. That would be fantastic and fully deserved of all the people who've called in, because you have been brilliant tonight and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. If you are new to the show, bottom right hand corner, subscribe button, make sure you click that, subscribe, get involved. Live comments is absolutely fantastic, as per usual, and if you have stumbled upon it, you found a community that's great. If you're happy just commenting on the live comments, fantastic. If you want to take that step up and get yourself on the show, you feel confident, no one's going to be outed, we welcome you all, get involved. But I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you have as well. So please drop a like, please get involved. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, I think it's going up. Red Rumours, make sure you watch it. Mystery Centre Back. Also, you may have heard this today. Manchester United have got 3 scouts going to the Arsenal-Bayern Munich game this week. Very seriously interested in a player from there. We'll be talking about who that is tomorrow night as well. And also a little bit of a development around, let's just watch it at 4 o'clock tomorrow night. Tomorrow, it's a good show. Numbers are dropping off. I'm going to drop off. But thanks, everyone. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I do applaud you all on the live comments and all the guests. I like the way this is going. Really, really enjoyed it. And I shall speak to you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Fantastic show. It's going to be an interesting few months for United. And the United Stand, as always, will be together with the United Stand Army getting involved. But at the moment, I think, in summary, I love Mourinho. I love Zlatan. I love Pogba. I trust them all. There are issues. I can't tell you where we're going to end this season. And I know in one way, that's the exciting thing, because you just don't know. But with Manchester United, what I would say is we won the League Cup. We're still in the FA Cup. We're still in the Europa League. We're still in the fight for top 4. And we should all know by now, it's not over till it's over with Manchester United. Speak to you all tomorrow.